Om Shanti. Request everyone to sit down comfortably on a chair or on the floor. We will start today's the short guided meditation. Take this moment to check my thoughts. I have spent years of my life being unconscious. I never realized that I have the choice to choose my thoughts. Today, I awaken myself from deep, deep unconsciousness. Today, I let go of the past and the future. Teach myself to live in the present moment. Present moment is so precious, so valuable. It gives me the opportunity to live life. So wonderful, so beautiful. At peace with myself. Sense of joy spreading through my entire being. I am a pure divine soul. Each one I encounter on this journey of life is equally pure and divine. Accept myself. I accept others. I accept each scene of my life. Only gratitude in my heart for I take the personal responsibility today to heal myself and the planet. Self transformation is very easy for me. I can easily transform all my old sanskars. I am God's angel on this earth. God stands with me always. Victory is my birthright. Om Shanti. Om Shanti. So today we will be continuing with the chapter 3, and we will begin with uh, page 65 if you're using a physical book, and in the PDF, it will be page number 78 onwards. So I'll share my screen. Is my screen visible to everyone? You can let me know in the chat box. Okay. So in this chapter, we have been talking about unconsciousness. So before we proceed, I want to ask one question. What do you mean by unconsciousness? You don't need to give a difficult explanation for it. In your understanding, what have you what do you have understood about unconscious? How can you explain in a simple word? Anybody wants to say anything? Yes, not aware of the present moment, right? We will, in the PDF, it will be page number 78. Unconsciousness is identification with false self, correct? Unawareness, yes. Okay. I think this is chapter 4. Sorry, I think I didn't tell the right chapter. So it will be chapter 4, page number 78 in the PDF. And in the physical book, it will be page number 65. Okay. So, okay. So we will start with this. Can we drop negativity as you suggest? So it will be how can we drop negativity as you suggest, right? So the seeker is asking the author by how can we overcome negativity? So the author is telling by dropping it. How do you drop a piece of hot coal that you are holding in your hand? So the author here is comparing negativity to a hot coal. How do you drop some heavy and useless baggage that you are carrying? By recognizing that you don't want to suffer the pain or carry the burden anymore and then letting go of it. That means when if we are to hold a hot coal, we will obviously not keep it in our hand because it will cause us pain. So we will immediately let go of it. The same way, if we are holding on to some heavy, useless baggage, which is only pulling us down, which is only demotivating us, then what do? We decide to let go of the burden. We decide to drop the burden. And that decision is a matter of 1 second. Deep unconsciousness, such as the pain body or other deep pain, such as the loss of a loved one, usually needs to be transmuted through acceptance, combined with the light of your presence, your sustained attention. So the pain body has become a part of each and every individual because for a long time we have been associated with our false identity, which is the ego. So the author is telling that in order to be free of the pain body or some other deep pain like the loss of a loved one, we need to practice acceptance, right? And we have to remind ourselves of being in the present moment. With that, we will be able to overcome it. Many patterns in ordinary unconsciousness, on the other hand, can simply be dropped once you know that you don't want them and you don't need them anymore. Once you realize that you have a choice, that you are not just a bundle of conditioned reflexes. So, what happens at this moment? We have been habituated to act in a certain way. So, when there is a stimulus, we act immediately. But when we learn being in the present moment, we begin to realize that we have a choice. We always have a choice to choose what we want to do. And that is when we decide that today I will do the right thing. I will not be a bundle, like the author is telling. I will not be a bundle of conditioned reflexes, but I have the choice that I don't want this anymore. I don't need this anymore. And hence I make a conscious choice to transform. All this implies that you are able to access the power of now. Without it, you have no choice. So, the true power, the true choice always lies in the present moment. It does not lie in the past, it does not lie in the future. It always lies in the present moment. If you call some emotions negative, aren't you creating a mental polarity of good and bad, as you explained earlier? So the author says, no. The polarity was created at an earlier stage when your mind judged the present moment as bad. This judgment then created the negative emotion. Then the seeker again asked, but if you call some emotions negative, aren't you really saying that they shouldn't be there? That it's not okay to have those emotions? My understanding is that we should give ourselves permission to have whatever feelings come up rather than judge them as bad or say that we shouldn't have them. It's okay to feel resentful. It's okay to be angry, irritated, moody, or whatever. Otherwise, we get into repression, inner conflict, or denial. Everything is okay as it is. So the seeker is telling that we should give ourselves the permission to feel whatever negative emotion that comes us, else we might be denying it, we might be repressing it. So let's see what the author answers to this. Of course, once a mind pattern, an emotion or a reaction is there, accepted. So, whatever we feel in our mind, whatever we feel inside, the very first thing to do is to accept it. That is the first step towards taking a solution. You were not conscious enough to have a choice in the matter. That's not a judgment, just a fact. If you had a choice or you realized that you do have a choice, would you choose suffering or joy, ease or unease, peace or conflict? So, nobody in this world will consciously choose pain. Everybody wants to live a life of happiness, right? So, what happens because of a deep conditioning, we create it create this thought automatically in response to a stimulus. Now that it has already been created, instead of denying it, we first need to accept it. Would you choose a thought or feeling that cuts you off from your natural state of well being, the joy of life within? Any such feeling I call negative, which simply means bad. Not in the sense that you shouldn't have done that, but just plain factual bad, like feeling sick in the stomach. How is it possible that humans killed in excess of 100 million fellow humans in the 20th century alone? Humans inflicting pain of such magnitude on one another is beyond anything you can imagine. And that's not taking into account the mental, emotional, and physical violence, the torture, pain, and cruelty they continue to inflict on each other as well as on other sentient beings on a daily basis. So, because human beings are deeply unconscious at the present moment, they continue to inflict pain not just on their fellow human beings but also on other creatures, on nature as well. Do they act in this way because they are in touch with their natural state, the joy of life within? Of course not. So, it is never possible that someone who is happy within can cause so much of pain outside. So, it is always coming from a place of pain. Pain always comes from a place of unhappiness. Only people who are in a deeply negative state, who feel very bad indeed, would create such a reality as a reflection of how they feel. So, this line is very important. Many times, when somebody, let's say, do something to us, we immediately take it personally, right? But the author is telling that sometimes people's actions are just a reflection of how they feel inside. Therefore, we should never take anything personally. We should remember this line going forward. Now they are engaged in destroying nature and the planet that sustains them. Unbelievable, but true. So we are very dependent on nature. If nature was not there, we couldn't have survived. But today we have shifted from a sense of gratitude to a sense of causing harm to the same nature that sustains us. Humans are a dangerously insane and very sick species. That's not a judgment, it's a fact. So it is the fallen human consciousness that has made us into a dangerous species. It is also a fact that the sanity is there underneath the madness. So the true nature, truth can never be erased. It can be it can be put underneath something, like the author says, sanity is there, but underneath the madness. But you can never erase the truth. Healing and redemption are available right now. Coming back specifically to what you said, it is certainly true that when you accept your resentment, moodiness, anger, and so on, you are no longer forced to act them out blindly and you are less likely to project them onto others. That is why acceptance is so crucial. So, when we accept, we become aware, and that is when we stop radiating that, we stop projecting that to others. But I wonder if you are not deceiving yourself. When you have been practicing acceptance for a while, as you have, there comes a point when you need to go on to the next stage, where those negative emotions are not created anymore. So the first stage is acceptance, and then, as per the author, the second stage is to be in that phase when those negative emotions does not get created anymore. If you don't, your acceptance just becomes a mental label that allows your ego to continue to indulge in unhappiness and so strengthen its sense of separation from other people, your surroundings, your here and now. So, if we are not conscious, if we are not aware, then our practice of acceptance can be used by the ego to strengthen itself, like the author is telling. As you know, separation is the basis for the ego's sense of identity. True acceptance would transmute those feelings. So, ego always thinks of itself as separate from everything around. But true acceptance would eliminate those feelings. It will bring in a sense of oneness with everything around. And if you really knew deeply that everything is okay, as you put it, and which of course is true, then would you have those negative feelings in the first place? Without judgment, Without resistance to what is, they would not arise. You have an idea in your mind that everything is okay, but deep down you don't really believe it. And so the old mental emotional patterns of resistance are still in place. That's what makes you feel bad. So what happens many times, often what we do, we say that everything is okay, everything is good. But then when situations come, we act in a different. That is the time where we need to check ourselves. Even though we say everything is okay, but somewhere we don't believe it 100%. And that is why we continue to act in the old way, and the resistance comes into place and it makes us feel bad. That's okay too. Are you defending your right to be unconscious, your right to suffer? Don't worry, nobody is going to take that away from you. Once you realize that a certain kind of food makes you sick, would you carry on eating that food and keep asserting that it is okay to be sick? So, when we truly, deep down, we realize that unconsciousness really makes us feel bad, makes us feel pain, feel sorrow, then obviously nobody will make the conscious choice again to fall back into unconscious. So the next heading is wherever you are, be there totally. Can you give some more examples of ordinary unconsciousness? See if you can catch yourself complaining in either speech or thought about the situation you find yourself in. What other people do or say, your surroundings, your life situations, even the weather. To complain is always non acceptance of what is. So, this is again something that happens automatically. We always judge something, we always complain something. So, that is the author is telling that is a form of non acceptance. It invariably carries an unconscious negative charge. When you complain, you make yourself a victim. When you speak out, you are in your power. So change the situation by taking action or by speaking out if necessary or possible. Leave the situation or accept it, all else is madness. So, usually in a situation, our focus falls on things that we cannot control. We can complain about the outside external situation, we can complain about the other people involved, right? But the truth is, they are not in our control. And because we want to control that which is not in our control, we feel helplessness, we feel sadness. But that moment, if we take a conscious choice that we will focus on that which I, the soul, can control, then we will feel the sense of true power. And what can we control? We can control our own thoughts in the present moment. That is all in our control. So if we focus on that, then the feeling of helplessness will not arise. Ordinary unconsciousness is always linked in some way with the denial of the now. The now, of course, also implies the here. Are you resisting your here and now? Some people would always rather be somewhere else. So many people have this habit. Maybe we ourselves have done it. Maybe we are, let's say, we have gone somewhere or we are in a moment and we tell that no, the past was good. You know, we refer back to past incident, which means we are not here. We are resisting the present moment and we are tied up with the past. Their here is never good enough. Through self observation, find out if that is the case in your life. Wherever you are, be there totally. If you find your here and now intolerable and it makes you unhappy, you have three options. Okay, so the author is telling us about three options if you cannot, if you cannot tolerate your present moment, what are the options? Remove yourself from the situation, change it, or accept it totally. You want to take responsibility for your life, you must choose one of those three options and you must choose now. Then accept the consequences, no excuses, no negativity, no psychic pollution. Keep your inner space clear. So, at some point in life, we all have to learn to take responsibility of our own actions. In the book previously, the author has said that accept the present moment as if you had chosen it, right? And today, he's again reminding us of the power to choose. And he has given us three options that we can choose from. And he's telling that after we have made the choice, we should be strong enough to accept the consequences of it. We should not create any further excuses. We should not fall into further negativity, but we should accept the consequences of our own choices. If you take any action, leaving or changing your situation, drop the negativity first, if at all possible. Action arising out of insight into what is required is more effective than action arising out of negativity. Any action is often better than no action, especially if you have been stuck in an unhappy situation for a long time. If it is a mistake, at least you learn something, in which case it's no longer a mistake. So we should never consider our failures as setbacks. Often when we make a mistake, we learn something. We learn what to avoid going forward. So this experiences become crucial because it lays the foundation of our success that lies ahead of us. If you remain stuck, you learn nothing. Is fear preventing you from taking action? So many times, even before taking an action, we think of many imaginary situations. And that is why we often don't take any actions. But if we don't do that, we remain stuck and we end up learning nothing. Acknowledge the fear, watch it, and take your attention into it. Be fully present with it. So the author is telling us that if we have the sense of fear, then what we should do? We should become a detached observer and watch our thoughts. Doing so cuts the link between the fear and your thinking. Don't let the fear rise up into your mind. Use the power of now. Fear cannot prevail against it. What does he mean by don't let fear rise up into your mind? It means do not associate with that fear. Do not say, I am that fear. Do not identify with that fear. Know that you are separate from what your mind is telling you. Your mind will try various strategies to make it identify, to make you identify with it, but you should not give in. If there is truly nothing that you can do to change your here and now, and you can't remove yourself from the situation, then accept your here and now totally by dropping all inner resistance. So sometimes we do not have the choice to do anything. So in that situation, we have to accept it, right? We need to let go of the inner resistance and completely accept the situation. So when we do that, you can feel that there comes a sense of lightness in the mind. The false, unhappy self that loves feeling miserable, resentful, or sorry for itself can then no longer survive. This is called surrender. Surrender is not weakness. There is great strength in it. Only a surrendered person has spiritual power. Through surrender, you will be free internally of the situation. You may then find that the situation changes without any effort on your part. In any case, you are free. So, when you surrender, when you accept, when you let go of all the resistance, then you will be able to access your power. And he says that only a surrendered person has a spiritual power. And when you have become stable internally, then everything outside you will automatically fall into place. Why it will fall into place? Because whatever we think inside, our thoughts, whatever happens outside, is just a reflection of the internal world. The external is the reflection of the internal world. So when we radiate vibrations of stability, vibrations of peace, then everything is bound to fall back in place. Or is there something that you should be doing but are not doing? Get up and do it now. Alternatively, completely accept your inactivity, laziness, or passivity at this moment if that is your choice. Go into it fully. So many times we refrain from doing actions out of fear, and sometimes it is our inactivity, laziness, or passivity that prevents us from doing a action. Be as lazy or inactive as you can. If you go into it fully and consciously, you will soon come out of it. So we have to go into something consciously in order to get out of it. Or maybe you won't. Either way, there is no inner conflict, no resistance, no negativity. So when we act, when we take a decision, when we act into something, then we can overcome the inner conflict. Are you stressed? Are you so busy getting to the future that the present is reduced to a means of getting there? Stress is caused by being here but wanting to be there, or being in the present but wanting to be in the future. So, what happens? Why is stress caused? Stress is caused when the expectation of the mind does not match the reality. Reality is something, and in the mind, we want to be somewhere else. This disconnect causes stress within the mind. It is a split that tears you apart inside. To create and live with such an inner split is insane. And today, there are so many people who have been living in a constant state of stress. The fact that everyone else is doing it doesn't make it any less same. So this is again a very important line because usually in life that is how we judge, right? Whether we should do something or not. If majority is doing it, we think that okay, we should be following that, right? But the author is telling that it is not so. Just because everyone else is doing it does not make it any less insane. So doing the right thing is more important, even you are the one to walk alone on that road. You have to. You can move fast, work fast, or even run without protecting yourself into the future and without resisting the present. As you move, work, run, do it totally. Enjoy the flow of the energy, the high energy of that moment. So, whatever you do, just do that thing. Give your mind that direction before starting the work. For example, if you sit down to work to eat food, you can tell your mind that in this moment, in this time, all I am going to do is to eat food and not do anything. So when you give directions to your mind, you are giving it uh, the activity that it needs to indulge in, and then you can control it also. Now you are no longer stressed, no longer splitting yourself into two, just moving, running, working, and enjoying it. Or you can drop the whole thing and sit on a park bench. But when you do, watch your mind. It may say you should be walking, you are wasting time. Observe the mind, smile at it. So we need to pay constant attention to our mind. Because if we don't, then it will go in its own way, right? So the mind will be telling you all these things, but the author says all we need to do is to observe it and smile at it. Does the past take up a great deal of your attention? Do you frequently talk and think about it, either positively or negatively? These questions we can use for our self checking. We can sit down after the class, we can find some time for ourselves and sit down with these questions and ask ourselves if this is how I truly feel. The great things that you have achieved, your adventures or experiences, or your victim story, and the dreadful things that were done to you, or maybe what you did to someone else, are your thought processes creating guilt, pride, resentment, anger, regret, or self pity. Then you are not only reinforcing a false sense of self, but also helping to accelerate your body's aging process by creating an accumulation of past in your psyche. Verify this for yourself by observing those around you who have a strong tendency to hold on to the past. So, what happens when we hold on to the past? We not only live that moment again and again and again in our mind, but we also strengthen the false image of ourself, which is the ego. And it also impacts the body because it fastens the body's aging process. Die to the past every moment. You don't need it. Only refer to it when it is absolutely relevant to the present. Feel the power of this moment and the fullness of being. Feel your presence. So every day when you wake up, always tell yourself, today is a new day. Today is a new beginning. Whatever happened till yesterday is past. It is gone. It won't come back. Today I have the choice to make a fresh start. Start with that awareness, start with that consciousness, and you will have a beautiful experience. Are you worried? Do you have many what if thoughts? You're identified with your mind, which is projecting itself into an imaginary future situation and creating fear. There is no way that you can cope with the situation because it doesn't exist. It's a mental phantom. So sometimes we worry too much. What will happen in the future? What if this happens? But the author says that that is an imaginary situation, and there is no way that you can deal with it because it does not exist. You can stop this health and life corroding insanity simply by acknowledging the present moment. Become aware of your breathing. Feel the air flowing in and out of your body. Feel your inner energy. Feel it. All that you ever have to deal with, cope with in real life, as opposed to imaginary mind projections, is this moment. Ask yourself what problem you have right now, not next year, tomorrow, or 5 minutes from now. So, what problem do we have in this moment? In this moment, there is no problem, right? In this moment, everything is perfect. But in order for us to acknowledge that, we need to be in this moment. What is wrong with this moment? You can always cope with the now, but you can never cope with the future, nor do you have to. The answer, the strength, the right action, or the resource will be there when you need it, not before, not after. This is again a very important point, right? So, whenever we need to live in the moment because this life is so beautifully designed that whenever that particular moment comes, we might think, we have to pre plan for a problem and things like that. but we don't have to. Life is so beautifully designed that when that moment comes, the solution is hidden in that scene. But only because our mind is oscillating between the past, between the and the future, we don't see the solution that lies right in front of us. That is why, if we live in the present, even if a challenge comes, even if a crisis arises, if we have the presence of the mind, we can identify the solution that lies in that scene right before us. One day I will make it. Is your goal taking up so much of your attention that you reduce the present moment to a means to an end? Is it taking the joy out of your doing? Are you wanting to start living? If you develop such a mind pattern, no matter what you achieve or get, the present will never be good enough. The future will always seem better. So we often say that I will be happy when this happens. I will be happy when that happens. And let's assume that that thing happens. Maybe we say that if I get a very good job with this amount of salary, I'm going to be very happy. And that day comes, you get that job. But you know what? Because you have created the sanskar of waiting for happiness in the future, in that moment, despite having the job with a perfect salary, you will still be thinking, I'll be happy when that happens. So that way, we never live in the present moment. We just jump from one scene to another without enjoying that moment. A perfect recipe for permanent dissatisfaction and non fulfillment. Don't you agree? Are you a habitual waiter? How much of your life do you spend waiting? What I can call small scale waiting is waiting in line at the post office, in a traffic jam, at the airport, or waiting for someone to arrive, to finish work, and so on. Large scale waiting is waiting for the next vacation, for a better job, for the children to grow up, for a truly meaningful relationship, for success, to make money, to be important, to become enlightened. It is not uncommon for people to spend their whole life waiting to start living. This line is again important, right? We need to check this because we all have gone through this, right? We wait that the future will be better. We wait for certain things to happen, but then we spend our whole lives waiting. Waiting is a state of mind. Basically, it means that you want the future, you don't want the present. You don't want what you have got, and you want what you haven't got. With every kind of waiting, you unconsciously create inner conflict between your here and now, where you don't want to be, and the projected future where you want to be. This greatly reduces the quality of your life by making you lose the present. So, one way to overcome this is to practice gratitude. Be thankful for what you have right now in this moment. There is nothing wrong with striving to improve your life situation. You can improve your life situation, but you cannot improve your life. Life is primary. Life is your deepest inner being. It is already whole, complete, and perfect. Your life situation consists of your circumstances and your experiences. There is nothing wrong with setting goals and striving to achieve things. The mistake lies in using it as a substitute for the feeling of being, of life for being. The only point of access for that is the now. You are then like an architect who pays no attention to the foundation of a building but takes a lot of time working on the superstructure. For example, many people are waiting for prosperity. It cannot come in the future. When you honor, acknowledge, and fully accept your present reality, where you are, who you are, what you are doing right now, when you fully accept what you have got, you are grateful for what you have got, grateful for what is, grateful for being. Gratitude for the present moment and the fullness of life now is true prosperity. It cannot come in the future, then in time that prosperity manifests for you in various ways. So when we start practicing gratitude, we will realize how very fortunate we are, how very blessed we are. Because we don't pay attention to that, we miss out. We think that we don't have what we want or anything, but we have more than what we need. So gratitude is very important. If you are dissatisfied with what you have got, or even frustrated or angry about your present lack, that may motivate you to become rich. But even if you do make millions, you will continue to experience the inner condition of lack, and deep down, you will continue to feel unfulfilled. You may have exciting experiences that money can buy, but they will come and go and always leave you with an empty feeling and the need for further physical or psychological gratification. So, what happens? This feeling of being happy is something that should come naturally from within. So, many people want to become rich when they grow up, and the author says that even if you get millions, if you earn millions of money and you have all the exciting experiences that money can buy, but it will never be a permanent solution. It will only give you a temporary gratification, and post that you will again be left feeling empty. So again, you have to search for another external support to feel what you should naturally be feeling. You won't abide in being, and so the feel and you won't abide in being, and so feel the fullness of life now, that alone is true prosperity. So you need to feel the fullness of life right now. So we will stop here, and tomorrow we will continue from the next paragraph. I will stop sharing the screen. So if anybody want to share anything, then you can unmute yourself. You can raise your hand. We can unmute you, and you can share your views. We also have the questions. First question is, do you agree with the author that we often defend our right to be unconscious and continue suffering? What, according to the author, is true acceptance of our emotions? Does anyone want to answer this question or share your views on it? Do you agree with what the author told us? If, like, whether we want to suffer, we unconsciously do that. Do you agree what the author says? Anyone wants to answer? Okay, Rajiv Pai says agree. Okay. Okay, so let's look at the second question. According to the author, only a surrendered person has a spiritual power. What do you feel about this? Do you agree or disagree? Can you share any personal experience where surrendering has helped transform your life? Anybody wants to answer this? So we have one question. If past and future come while doing our work, we should just observe or should we reflect on them? So if we reflect on them, it means we are engaging with it. And that is exactly what your ego wants. Your ego wants to engage you, wants to make you identify with it, right? So we should not engage on it. We should just observe the thoughts. And when we observe it, by being in the present moment, then that you become powerful and those thoughts will eventually fade away. Maybe I'll unmute Asha sister.
Sister, can I talk in Hindi?
हाँ, sure.
हाँ सिस्टर, आपने इसके पहले जो क्वेश्चन कहा कि हम सरेंडर करते हैं तो ही हम अपने लाइफ में ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन कर पाते हैं। यस प्लीज, जब हम सरेंडर नहीं करते दैट मीन्स वी आर फाइटिंग। और किसी ना किसी तरह से हम फाइट करते हैं, अपने खुद से या लोगों से या अपने संस्कारों से हम फाइट करते हैं। और जब हम फाइट करते हैं तो हमारी एनर्जी वहां पर लॉस हो जाती है, माइंड डिस्ट्रैक्ट हो जाता है, टाइम वेस्ट होता है। तो व्हेन वी सरेंडर, जैसे बाबा कहते हैं कि हाथ जी का पार्ट जब हम बजाते हैं तो हमें पता, अंदर ही अंदर हम इस चीज को भी समझ पाते हैं कि हमारे अंदर क्या कमी है, क्या कमजोरी है, और एक्चुअल में गलती किसकी है, क्या चेंज होना चाहिए। और जब ये सरेंडर हो जाते हैं तो हम एक्चुअली अपना ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन कर पाते हैं। और हमारे ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन से जो हमारे आसपास में एटमॉस्फेयर है वो भी धीरे धीरे चेंज हो जाता है। मुझे ऐसा लगता है।
हाँ जी, हाँ, आपने बिल्कुल सही कहा। जब हम एक्सेप्ट करते हैं तो हमारे से वो वेस्ट वाइब्रेशंस, नेगेटिव वाइब्रेशंस नहीं निकलते हैं। तब हम क्या करते हैं, हम सोल्यूशन पे फोकस करते हैं तो वाइब्रेशंस भी पॉजिटिव होते हैं और वो सोल्यूशन हमें मिल ही जाता है। बट पहले हमको क्या करना है, एक्सेप्ट करना है, राइट? नाउ वी हैव सुजाता सिस्टर, आई विल अनम्यूट हर.
Om Shanti, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity. I just want to add to a point of surrender, that surrendering can we become spiritually powerful. So, my thinking on this is, when we surrender, that means we are giving our that small ego to God. And that time divine energy or divine intellect starts flowing through us. And we know that our small minded ego is much smaller than the divine intellect or divine power. So when divine intellect starts flowing, it is like very different, it is much higher than our small ego. So then we become much powerful than what we are now in our narrow minded ego. That is my answer to that question. Thank you.
Thank you, sister. Very beautifully shared. So the third question that we have is, the author has discussed in detail about past taking up a great deal of our attention. He has also implied that waiting is a state of our mind. Do you resonate with this? What steps can you take to awaken yourself into the present? Anybody wants to answer this question? So author पूछ रहे हैं, हम प्रेजेंट में रहने के लिए क्या कर सकते हैं? एंड he has also implied कि हम यूजुअली बहुत वेट करते हैं, राइट? वेटिंग हैज बिकम अ स्टेट ऑफ आवर माइंड. तो आपका क्या व्यूज है? क्या आप अग्री करते हैं? क्या आप सहमत हैं इन व्हाट द ऑथर इज टेलिंग अस? Okay, I'll unmute Rajiv Bhai.
Am I audible?
या भाई।
हाँ मैम, एक्चुअली ऑथर ने तो कहा है कि हम वी हैव टू हम प्रेजेंट में रहने के लिए, मैं जो समझ रहा हूँ एक ही चीज है कि यदि हम टोटली प्रेजेंट में रहते हैं और सारी चीज को ऑब्जर्व करते हैं, व्हाट्स गोइंग ऑन, हाउ आई एम सिटिंग एंड व्हाट आई एम listening, and anything, what is the situation, what how the fan is running, and we should try to keep attached with the surroundings and within, uh, as I feel that it brings us into the present, सेंसेस को ऑब्जर्व करना और ये सब जो भी है whatever, तो हमें
राइट।
कनेक्ट करता है प्रेजेंट की ओर। अदरवाइज हम जंप करके इधर पास्ट में चले जाते हैं और जैसे डिस्कनेक्ट होते हैं मोमेंट से। जैसे आप रीड कर रही थी, जैसे लाइन कुछ भी आता था दिमाग में, सर्टेन कोई थॉट आ गया पास्ट का या फ्यूचर का, इमेजिनरी आया, देन वो लाइन स्किप हो जाता था, पकड़ में नहीं आता था कि व्हाट आर यू यू आर सेइंग, दैट इज कमिंग इनटू coming, but we are not focused at that book line, and with we are focused on hearing and seeing both, it means we are in totally present.
राइट। राइट, ये आपने अच्छा कहा कि वी शुड स्टार्ट ऑब्जर्विंग। तो कई बार जब माइंड बहुत तेज अगर चलता है तो कहीं पर वी कैन जस्ट सिट आवरसेल्व्स इन द रूम एंड वी कैन जस्ट स्टार्ट ऑब्जर्विंग एवरीथिंग अराउंड अस। दैट आल्सो ब्रिंग्स द माइंड टू द प्रेजेंट and also slows down the thoughts, because in the
Yes.
present moment mind cannot run fast. So thank you brother for sharing your views. I'll unmute Indo sister.
हाँ, मैं इस बात से बिल्कुल एग्री करती हूँ कि हम ज्यादातर फ्यूचर में रहते हैं और ये सोचते हैं कि फ्यूचर में ये होगा तो मैं हम खुश होंगे, ये होगा। मतलब हमारी एक आदत हो जाती है पोस्टपोन करने की। अगर मैं प्रेजेंट में खुश नहीं हूँ तो फ्यूचर में खुश कैसे रह सकती हूँ? इसका मतलब अगर मैं वेट कर रही हूँ तो अपनी खुशी को किन्हीं चीजों पे डिपेंड कर रही हूँ। अगर किसी चीज पे जो चीज किसी और चीज पे डिपेंडेंट है तो वो एक्चुअल में कभी भी मिल नहीं सकती। और अगर मतलब इससे बचने के लिए क्या है, हम प्रेजेंट में रहें और अपने माइंड को ऑब्जर्व करें और अपना ध्यान पूरी तरह से प्रेजेंट में लाएं, तो हम देखेंगे कि हम इस चीज से बच सकते हैं, क्योंकि जो भी पावर है प्रेजेंट में है। और अगर खुशी
बिल्कुल
भी है, मैं खुश हूँ, मुझे चाहिए नहीं खुशी के लिए कुछ भी, मेरी खुशी किसी चीज पर डिपेंडेंट नहीं है। और अगर कुछ बातें आ रही हैं दिमाग में फ्यूचर से रिलेटेड, तो हम ये सोच सकते हैं कि ये सच नहीं है, ये इमेजिनेशन है।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। सो यही
थैंक यू।
स्पिरिचुअल, थैंक यू सिस्टर। तो स्पिरिचुअलिटी हमें यही सिखाता है हाउ टू बिकम इंडिपेंडेंट, राइट। हम इंडिपेंडेंट कैसे हो जाए ताकि हम ये खुशी, ये सब कुछ जो आत्मा का लाइक ओन ओरिजिनल नेचर है, वो सब कुछ मैं कैसे नेचुरली फील कर सकूं। तो वंडरफुली एक्सप्लेन, थैंक यू सिस्टर। सो does anybody else wants to share their views? Okay, I will unmute Deepti sister. Sister, I have requested to unmute you, so you need to select unmute. Okay, anybody else who wants to share? Okay, I will unmute Seema sister.
ओम शांति।
ओम शांति।
दीदी मुझे ना इससे आज की क्लास से ये समझ आ रहा है कि जैसे बेसिकली हम सभी अभी जैसे अवेयरनेस में नहीं रहते हैं, कुछ भी काम करते हैं या कुछ भी करते हैं तो उसमें खोए हुए से रहते हैं। तो हम जब उसमें अवेयरनेस में रह के कोई भी काम करते हैं, प्रेजेंट में रह के करते हैं, तब वो चीज में हमारा अटेंशन ज्यादा रहता है। तो बेसिकली पावर ऑफ नाउ में अभी तक में यही बता रहा है कि हमें जो भी चीज करनी है कॉन्शियसली करनी है, अवेयरनेस में रह के, प्रेजेंट में रह के करनी है।
करेक्ट करेक्ट, हमें जो भी करनी है वो हमें प्रेजेंट में रह के करनी है।
हाँ, और जैसे कुछ भी हम करते हैं तो उसमें हम पास्ट में खो जाते हैं या फ्यूचर में खो जाते हैं। तो हमें वो उसमें ड्वेल नहीं होना, उसमें खोना नहीं है। बेसिकली जब क्या होता है, जब कोई थॉट पैटर्न चलता है तो हम
हाँ
उसमें
जी,
इतना खो
क्योंकि
जाते हैं
ये
कि
मन
एकदम डूब
का
जाते हैं।
संस्कार है, तो मन पास्ट में जाएगा, फ्यूचर में जाएगा। तो ये करेक्ट ऐसा होता है, तो इसलिए हमें अटेंशन रखना पड़ेगा। राइट, तो
जी
ये एक प्रैक्टिस है। ये एक दिन में तो नहीं होगा, बट हम रोज प्रैक्टिस करेंगे तो ये ठीक हो जाएगा।
जी।
Okay, thank you for sharing your views. I will unmute BK Kiran.
Shanti sister, I want to share some experience from this class. Before starting this class, when I was not attending this class, most of the time when my mind wandering in past and future situations, so I it takes some time. But when I started this book from the present of now, so now when my mind is going in past or in future, I just accept the situation. Then I tell to my mind that this is the present moment I am in now. So I feel that the situation is totally removed and I accept the feelings and everything, it was totally destroyed. And this situation is helping me the power of now for everything happening in this present.
Right, very beautifully said. So we feel liberated. We can feel the freedom, right? We are no longer tied to the situation, but we have the freedom to take the right choice. Okay, so we have a question. Please give suggestions for bringing mind to the present moment when it continuously wanders. So one thing, so ये आपको बार बार प्रैक्टिस करना पड़ेगा. First thing is to disidentify from your mind. अपने आप को, मन आपको बहुत कुछ कहेगा, बट आपको वो सुनना नहीं है. आपका आइडेंटिटी उसके आधार पे बनाना नहीं. राइट, तो जब हम ये करेंगे, ये खुद को बार बार रिमाइंड करना पड़ेगा, बिकॉज मन बहुत कोशिश करेगा आपको आपके तरफ खींचने का, बट यू डोंट हैव टू डू दैट. आपको अपने थॉट्स को ऑब्जर्व करना है. मन जो कुछ भी कहे उसे बस साक्षी होके देखना है. तो आप ये कर सकते हो. फॉर एवरी आवर आप ट्रैफिक कंट्रोल प्रैक्टिस कर सकते हो. तो उसमें हम क्या करते हैं, एक म्यूजिक बजता है. ये कोई ऐप आप मोबाइल में भी आपको मिल जाएगा प्ले स्टोर से. सो यू कैन डाउनलोड एंड कीप इट. एवरी आवर पॉज फॉर अ मिनट टू चेक योर थॉट्स. राइट, जो भी थॉट्स पास्ट मोमेंट में, जो भी पास्ट आवर में जो भी हुआ, यू कैन चेक इट and you can correct the thought. Then spending time with nature, you can do that. तो स्पेंडिंग टाइम ऑफ, जब नेचर के साथ टाइम स्पेंड करेंगे तो फील द नेचर, फील द ग्रास, फील द ट्री, फील द सन, द स्काई, द विंड. दैट विल हेल्प यू टू बी इन द प्रेजेंट मोमेंट. और एक चीज जो हमने बहुत प्रैक्टिस करते, जो आज अभी भी वी आई प्रैक्टिस, इज आई ऑलवेज चार्ज द फूड एंड द वाटर बिफोर intaking it. Always charge it with the positive affirmation. You need to repeat it 7 times, right? You can say, I am a powerful soul. I accept the present moment as it is. Right? तो आप ये कर सकते हैं. तो इससे आई एम श्योर इट विल हेल्प यू टू control your mind and bring it to the present moment. But again, we need to keep patience with ours, right? Because it is a journey. It is not that today I decide and tomorrow everything is perfect. But every day, if we give 1% effort, slowly, we will get the desired results. Okay. So this is okay. So we can, okay, there is one question. अगर हमें कुछ करना है फ्यूचर में, जैसे एग्जाम देना, फी भरना, then we have ये वो भी to think about future, we have to find solution, but it brings fear of how to do it. So like the author उन्होंने बताया कि जो relevant situation है उसके बारे में, जो फ्यूचर में होने वाला है, जो relevant situation, उसके बारे में आप सोच सकते हैं, जैसे फीस देना या एग्जाम जो भी होगा उसके लिए प्रिपेयर करना, उसके लिए आपको आज सोचना पड़ेगा। बट एग्जाम कैसा होगा, क्या हम पास करेंगे या फेल करेंगे, ये नहीं सोचना है। एग्जाम होगा, उसके लिए एग्जाम में अच्छे से पास होने के लिए मुझे आज अच्छे से पढ़ना है, राइट? तो मेरा फोकस बस उतना ही होना चाहिए, एंड आई शुड फोकस ऑन प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर द एग्जाम। तो फिर क्या होगा, एग्जाम मेरा ऑटोमेटिकली अच्छा हो जाएगा क्योंकि मैं प्रेजेंट में अच्छा प्रिपेयर किए हैं, राइट? तो हमें ऐसा सोचना है। सो हमें अपने आप को डर से डिफाइन नहीं करना है। हम अफर्मेशंस रख सकते हैं, दैट आई एम अ पावरफुल सोल, आई माई द कंसंट्रेशन पावर ऑफ माई माइंड इज द हाइएस्ट, आई रिमेम्बर एवरीथिंग दैट आई स्टडी, एंड ऑटोमेटिकली आपका माइंड भी स्टेबल हो जाएगा। ओके, सो थैंक you everyone for today's session, and we will close today's session with a beautiful song. So I will request Anika's sister from the team to please share that song.
खूबसूरत करो, दिल खुदाई मोहब्बत से भर जाएगा, ख्वाबों को तुम खुशनुमा पाओगे, ख्वाबों को तुम खुशनुमा पाओगे, आसमां से जन्नत उतर आएगा, इन ख्यालों में ऐसी है ताकत ख्यालों को यूं खूबसूरत करो। ख्याल कीमती है यूं न जाया करो, अश्कों को न बेवजह बहाया करो। मुंतजिर हो खुदा की फकत याद में, भूल करना किसका दिल दुखाया करो। मुश्किलें मिटा देगा वो मुश्किल कुसान, मुश्किलें मिटा देगा वो मुश्किल कुसान। रूह में वो ताकत भर जाएगा, ख्यालों को यूं खूबसूरत करो। ख्यालों को यूं खूबसूरत करो। दिल खुदाई मोहब्बत से भर जाएगा, ख्वाबों को तुम खुशनुमा पाओगे। ख्वाबों को तुम खुशनुमा पाओगे। आसमां से जन्नत उतर आएगा, ख्यालों को यूं खूबसूरत करो। ख्यालों को यूं खूबसूरत करो। ख्यालों को यूं खूबसूरत करो।
Thank you, everyone. Om Shanti. We will meet again tomorrow.